So just a quick look at our agenda for today. I know most of you are probably familiar with the Dragon speech recognition software, but you may not know anything about Nuance Communications, which is the company behind the software. So I'm going to take you through just a few slides talking about who Nuance is as a company. Then we'll go in to talk about some of the diverse learning needs that speech recognition can support, how students are using speech recognition today, what some educators are saying about Dragon. Then, of course, the all-important piece, we're going to have Tom Vane, our senior sales engineer, take you through a demonstration of the product so you can see firsthand the great tool that Dragon speech recognition is. Then we're going to wrap up and just talk a little bit about some of the advantages of speech recognition in the education space, and then some licensing programs that are specifically geared towards K-12 and higher education markets. And then, as I mentioned, we'll cover as many questions as we can. So just to talk a little bit about Nuance. So simply put, we advocate everything that's second nature by simplifying the way people interact with machines. We humanize technology so that doing your job and finding what you need feels natural and effortless. We invent technology that makes everyone easier to understand, and we convert burdensome tasks and workflows into seamless experiences. Many of you probably don't go a single day without interacting with some form of technology that is powered by a Nuance voice and natural language solution. It could be anything from a smartphone, a book reader, navigation system, television, or obviously in this case, a desktop computer. You might have also encountered Nuance when calling for customer service on your phone, searching for the right answer on a website, or having a conversation with a specialized customer service assistant. And virtually every leading global consumer technology manufacturer has embraced Nuance as the gold standard for powering meaningful voice recognition and natural language interactions. And as you can see by the impressive list of companies seen here, we're trusted by the world's largest and most prestigious companies. So one of the best ways to measure our incredible growth is through the success of our customers. So as you can see by some of the numbers we have listed here, our cloud-based systems are now processing over 4.5 billion mobile transactions annually. Nuance technology is deployed on over 6 billion mobile handsets. There are over 70 million Nuance-powered cars on the market today. We have well over 10,000 mobile application partners. There are over 500,000 clinicians documenting patient interactions with Nuance, and our solutions are supported in over 70 languages. But you're here to talk about how speech recognition is being utilized in the education space. So research and practical experience continue to show the value of speech recognition for helping students with learning disorders such as dyslexia, dysgraphia, working memory issues, and other cognitive challenge that interfere with their ability to read, write, and spell. But realistically, speech recognition can be utilized by students of all abilities. And in fact, we find that speech recognition allows students to do several things. First, dictate their thoughts. Dragon automatically turns their speech into correctly spelled text. Plus, we also have a feature called this playback function that they can use to hear or read what they've written, which makes them more aware of potential issues that they see in their sentence structure, such as missing verbs, maybe awkward phrasing or poor sentence structure that may require their revision. And in these ways, students are able to more fully leverage their oral language skills for enhancing writing fluency. The other thing we see is that they can use it to express themselves more freely without worrying about the mechanics of the writing process, such as spelling or sentence structure and agreement. We find that these processes can sometimes slow down the writing process. So when it comes to drafting, studies have shown that poor spelling can really interfere with language production. And the use of speech recognition software, by reducing those spelling problems, can help improve writing fluency and also enable increased language production. So we find that typically the result can be longer and more detailed essays, and also reduced frustration throughout the writing process. Another way is that Dragon helps students gain a better sense of their writing flow by enabling them to read and reread each sentence as it develops before their eyes on the computer screen. It also improves sentence structure for students whose oral language is clearer than their written language. And what if we talk about some core academic skills such as reading and spelling? Well, research has suggested that the use of speech recognition by dyslexic students has actually generated significant improvement in their overall reading, decoding, spelling, and comprehension skills. It really gives students the opportunity to practice their reading skills and can positively influence sound character awareness. Some studies have shown that Dragon promotes improved spelling and word recognitions as students watch their words be transcribed on the screen. And also using Dragon's playback feature can further improve decoding by helping students understand the relationship between what a word looks like and how it sounds. So now we know a little bit about who uses Dragon. We want to talk a little bit about what they're actually using it for. So the first is to take notes for papers and assignments. So Dragon saves students time by letting them take notes simply by talking to their computers or speaking into a digital voice recorder for later transcription on their PC. No more cramped fingers or jotting down notes by hand. They just have to dictate some important facts as they read print or even some online material. Another way is by writing and formatting papers and presentations. With Dragon's fast, accurate dictation capabilities, it makes it easier for students to transfer their thoughts and ideas into written text without worrying about spelling mistakes. Dragon also makes it simple to edit and format those documents by voice. It provides direct commands for formatting, deleting, and copying words and passages, and you'll obviously see that in Tom's demonstration a little bit later on. So for example, it enables students to name the desired text and the action that they want to take in a single voice command, such as bold very. They can even designate a whole passage by quoting its first and last words and then formatting from there. They can even delete that text if they need to. Furthermore, Dragon can provide fine control over the form, spacing, and capitalization of items in various contexts. They can also use Dragon to conduct internet-based research. Students can use simple spoken commands to find information on the internet or even files that are stored on their computer. They can locate information quickly and easily by simply saying things like, search the web for global warming articles. Search Wikipedia for George Washington Carver. They can also use Dragon to communicate with their peers and also teachers. Students can send emails or IMs to collaborate on group or classroom projects entirely by voice. So they can use their voice to compose and send both email and instant messages to classmates and teachers, enabling full participation in group projects that are that require ongoing communication, collaboration, and of course the sharing of information. So I like to use this example because I think it's quite powerful. This was a student that came to us who had a fairly strong form of dyslexia. And as you can see on the left-hand side, this was a piece of writing that his teacher actually submitted to us. And as you can see, it's quite difficult to make out exactly what he's trying to say. What we found was within a few hours of installing and using Dragon, he was given another writing assignment. And what you see on the right-hand side is what he dictated using Dragon. So you can see that it's clearer text, there's no spelling mistakes. He's able to get his thoughts more clearly out on paper. And let me tell you, both the student, the teacher, and the parents were so impressed with what Dragon was able to do for this child that they actually cried. And we did develop a case study in speaking to this student. Okay, so let's go on. Let's talk about how Dragon can be a best practice for English language learners, or where English is a second language for those students. I'm sure as teachers and administrators, you are more than familiar with the fact that there are over 4 million language minority students enrolled in U.S. public schools today. And while many of these students can speak English with some varying degree of fluency, their writing skills may typically lag behind their oral skills. This can present a problem because English language learners are required to pass state-mandated subject exams that involve not only reading and answering multiple choice questions, but writing essays in English. And in many states, these students are also required to take and pass these exams after being enrolled in the public school system for only 1 full year. Now, this policy, while it's widespread, is really out of sync with what research findings suggest. That English language learners and English as a second language, depending on the individual learning needs, of course, and the programs of instruction that are provided by the school system, but these students can take upwards of 3 to 5 years to develop oral proficiency and 7 years to develop academic English proficiency. So how is speech recognition helping or supporting these students today? So a few items I want to point out is academic writing. So using Dragon, we found that English language learners and ESL students wrote longer, more descriptive and detailed essays. And if I just go back to this example of a young student who was up and running with Dragon for just a few hours and was able to go from this to this, you can just imagine what it could do for someone that English is a second language to them. We also find that it helps and supports in note-taking. So using Dragon to take notes, specifically when doing a lot of research, even with some errors, the transcribed text that a student has can make it easier for them to highlight keywords, ideas, and phrases for outlining purposes. Let's take fluency for another example. Our findings suggest that speech-based writing and advanced planning could offer complementary benefits by increasing the efficiency of text generation and, in turn, their overall writing fluency. In addition, tools and strategies that channel the students' efforts into one aspect of the writing process, for example, this idea transfer as opposed to spelling, can really influence writing outcomes. So by letting ELLs focus on text production instead of avoidance of surface errors, Dragon seemed to have a positive influence on their overall writing fluency. And then I'll just touch on pronunciation as a last example here. We found that an unexpected benefit of Dragon was really in this area of pronunciation. Students typically believed that when they see a transcription error, that could be due to their pronunciation of the word, even though this may not always be the case. So as a result, these transcription errors presented yet another opportunity for them to review the word, practice the pronunciation once again, and work to get it right. So I just wanted to highlight here just some quotes from educators and what they're saying specifically about the use of Dragon for themselves and also in the classroom. So I won't, read thoroughly through this. I'll just quickly highlight a couple of pieces. As I mentioned, this presentation is being recorded, so you will receive a copy of the presentation combined with the audio that you can take a look at for further use. But for example, this middle one here where it says, as class progresses, we have completed an outline of an essay. I put on the headset and begin dictating my essay directly into the computer. It's as though magic magically my essay is displayed on the big screen TV. My room of 35 street-smart 8th graders sit in rapt attention as I quickly write and model the essay I expect them to produce. Later that day, I open up Dragon and write a letter of recommendation for one of my colleagues who is applying to a leadership program at a local university, et cetera, et cetera. So you can see here is another example of how Dragon can be used in the classroom. Actually, the teacher in this case is using Dragon to show her students how powerful speech recognition can be for their writing. Okay, so enough of my talking. Let's quickly move over to Tom Vane. As I mentioned, Tom is a senior sales engineer and has been with Dragon for a number of years. He is going to take you through a very powerful demonstration of the software so you can see firsthand some of the things that I've discussed here with you today. Okay, with that, Tom, you should have presenter status, and take it away.
All right, thank you, Amy. So what you should be seeing now is my own screen on my desktop, and at the very, very top of our screen, we have the actual Dragon Naturally Speaking product running. This, at the very top, is what we call the Dragon bar. This is our interface for Dragon Naturally Speaking, something that any user would see when they're using Dragon Naturally Speaking. We understand that there's always a high demand for desktop real estate, meaning the people are always looking to make sure that they have enough room on their desktop or space on their screen to see everything. So not only do we make this this Dragon bar very, very slim, we also make it so that you can make it go down to the tray icon rather than having it up on the screen at all, and you can control the microphone from here. But just for our demonstration purpose today, we're going to keep this at the top. And the first thing I'm going to get into today is dictating within Microsoft Word. But I did want to point out that although today's demonstration is going to be mainly within Word, this isn't limited to only working within Microsoft Office products. Anywhere, this edition that I'm using right now is the Professional Edition, and it will work anywhere that you point and click and you can type into. We'll get into other editions later on during this webinar, but for right now, I'm going to work directly within Microsoft Word. Open Microsoft Word. Set font size 18 points. Welcome to Dragon Naturally Speaking! Exclamation point. Dragon Naturally Speaking is speech recognition technology that enables you to complete documents and emails faster, with ease, and with less strain, period. Dragon Naturally Speaking is smart and intuitive, and will quickly learn how you speak and the words that you use, period. With minimal training, you can receive up to 99% accuracy with typing speeds of 150 to 160 words per minute, period. Dragon Naturally Speaking also comes with commands that allow you to control your computer all by using your voice, period. New paragraph. Not only does Dragon Naturally Speaking allow you to, open quote, speak your mind, close quote, but Dragon Naturally Speaking can speak to all caps you, exclamation point. With the open quote, read that, close quote function, you can have Dragon Naturally Speaking read any text that's on your screen, period, new paragraph. First, let's start with commands, ellipsis, new paragraph. Then, I will show you how to have text read back to you with Dragon Naturally Speaking, period. All Dragon Naturally Speaking. Choose all. Underline 150 through minute. Italicize 99% accuracy. Select Dragon Naturally Speaking. 1. Make it green. So as you can see, as Amy was talking to this earlier, not only do I have the ability to talk what I want actually to have written, but I can go back and edit that all by voice. I can edit the font size, the style, the formatting. I can select text all by using my voice. That's very, very natural. Now, as of the aspect of having Dragon read back your text, we do have built-in text-to-speech within the software. So you can highlight any text that you want, whether that's in an email or whether it's in a PDF, or whether it's the text that you dictated or not. It's as simple as highlighting it and asking Dragon to read that. So for a quick example here, select all, delete that. Insert Serena text. Select all, read that.
Hello, my name is Serena. When you need to have text read back to you, I'm your best friend. Simply highlight the text that you wish to have read back to you by using voice commands or just your mouse. Then you can command Dragon to read that, or click the Read It button in the Dragon bar. When you have trouble reading the screen, whether you have difficulties reading small text or even if you have a reading challenge, such as dyslexia, I can help you better understand what is written on your screen. If you do not appreciate my British accent, you can always ask to speak with my friend, Samantha.
Thank you, Serena.
You are welcome, Tom.
So one thing you might be curious about is, you can understand that I've been using this software for quite some time, but you might be wondering, well, how did he know all these commands? How did he learn all these commands? One benefit of Dragon Naturally Speaking is we do have a lot of different utilities that you can use to teach yourself how to use the software. Not only do we have training utilities made available to you online, but even within the software and within the help menu, we have great utilities that are new in version 12 that weren't in previous versions that we have noticed and utilized ourselves in the training efforts. For example, the first one I wanted to show you was our interactive tutorial. Our interactive tutorial goes through anything from just an introduction to the basics of turning your microphone on and off. And it is completely interactive, so you can, it's all simulation. So I can enable the microphone, practice turning my microphone on and off, and work my way through this lesson. With practice, I will get used to composing out loud. ... Microphone off. And as I'm working my way through this lesson, I'm learning about just good dictation habits, dictating certain commands, and learning how to say punctuation. I'm learning about how to correct my words. So I'm getting a basic 101 all within this first lesson as soon as I'm done creating a profile in Dragon Naturally Speaking. And it also tells you about learning more with Dragon Naturally Speaking, right? Improving my accuracy, or even the sidebar. Now the sidebar, again, I mentioned that I've learned all these commands. The sidebar is going to be a good reminder of what commands you can actually say with Dragon Naturally Speaking. In fact, it's so easy to call upon. All you have to do is ask Dragon Naturally Speaking, what can I say? And the sidebar will come up. This sidebar is context sensitive, or it's dynamic, meaning that it'll detect what application you currently have open, and it'll display the commands that are available within that application. So if I open Microsoft Excel, it's going to show that it's going to see or recognize that Excel is open right now. And with Excel open, it's going to give you the Excel commands, the commands that you can use within Excel, and so on and so on. It'll do this for PowerPoint, Outlook, et cetera, et cetera. So you have all these commands available to you as far as moving the cursor around, selecting and inserting, cutting, copying, and pasting, basically providing a hands-free experience. We also have global commands, which global commands work in any application. If you think of the word global, I'm globally known, or I'm known worldwide, right? It's going to be understood worldwide. It's an entity understood worldwide. So that's going to be global to your whole machine. Any application, these commands are going to work. So as far as controlling the microphone, or even sidebar control, or even searching the web, which I'll touch on in just a moment here, anything from that all the way to correcting misrecognitions and selecting text and editing text and moving the cursor. For example, if I need to move through my document, it's just as easy as saying move up 3 lines, move right 6 words, move left 7 characters, go to beginning of paragraph, go to end of 9, insert before whether you have, insert after Samantha period. So because I'm able to look at this Dragon sidebar, I'm reminded of the commands that I can say. If you run into a challenge where you can't remember the command to say to bring up the Dragon sidebar, it's right here, right within your help menu. And the last thing I wanted to touch upon, unless Amy has something to add, is the ability to research documents using Dragon Naturally Speaking. there have been tons of times where I've had to write a document or an essay that I wanted to research something that I was actually writing upon, and of course everybody's favorite tool nowadays is going to either be Wikipedia, Google, or Bing, or some kind of search engine, so they can at least get themselves introduced to those results. And with Dragon, we have those quick commands that allow you to research those terms. So if I'm writing something on Dragon Naturally Speaking, I can simply say, search Google for Dragon Naturally Speaking. And instantly, Google is brought up within my default web browser, and I'm using Google Chrome. But if you're using IE or Firefox, we support all those different environments, and it's going to come up with your search terms. And those search terms are open-ended. I could say search Google for, search Bing for, search Yahoo for ABC, whether ABC is Dragon Naturally Speaking or Nokia camcorders, right? So you have any specific search term available to you, and it's going to open up your world as far as researching documents too on the fly within a document. And I can always research what I want to. I can navigate the page, and once I have my information, I can easily go back to my document, switch to Microsoft Word, and begin dictating what I wanted to dictate, period. And with that, unless Amy has anything to add, I am going to return this back over to Amy.
Excellent. Thanks, Tom. You know what? There are two additional things, if you don't mind showing. So while you're in Word, can you just show how you would say commands for things like file or getting to your toolbar within Word? And then would you mind also just showing quickly use within Outlook? That'd be great.
Yeah, no problem. So I'm just going to go within Outlook first. Select all, delete that, insert 3x2 table, district #1, tab, district #2, tab, all caps that, total, all caps that, center the row, move down, $1,238,000, tab, $1,480,000, tab, sum up the row, italicize the row, select all, copy that, open Microsoft Outlook, create new message, maximize window, Eric Canazzo, move to subject, this week's sales figures, cap that, move to body, hello Eric, comma, new paragraph, please see this week's sales figures below, period. If you have any questions, comma, please feel free to reach out to me at your own convenience, period, new paragraph, paste it here, new paragraph, best cap regards, comma, press delete, send message, minimize window, close window, click don't save, open Microsoft Word, click file, scratch that, microphone off. So we do have access of menus and buttons and dialog controls. As you saw when I was closing my document, it came up with a message, do you want to save? And you could tell it to click a button, click a menu item, click on specific items within the toolbars. So we actually work off of Microsoft's accessibility to discover the menu item names, et cetera, et cetera.
Perfect. Thanks, Tom.
No problem. Thank you, Amy.
All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, the one thing that I also want to point out, too, is while you saw Tom go through the demonstration is that he did all of his editing and commands using entirely his voice. The reason we do that is to really show you, obviously, the power behind Dragon. But the thing that we should point out is we don't say that you have to use Dragon for all of your commands. The reason we do this is obviously, there is the accessibility issue. So for people who have a physical disability that where they are really unable to use a keyboard or use a mouse, we have that functionality available to them so that they can continue working with a computer. But in your everyday use of Dragon, or even the students' use of Dragon, we don't necessarily say that you have to do everything strictly by voice. You can continue to use your keyboard. You can continue to use your mouse if that functionality is easier and quicker for you to do using that. Really what we advocate for a lot of students is, the dictation piece. So getting your thoughts out on paper. For teachers, it could be the fact that you may have a number of email communications that you need to do back and forth with maybe other teachers, your administrators, or even students and students and parents as you're setting up conferences and other meetings, or putting out grades, etc. And also just know that any correction that you make with Dragon, whether it's by voice or your keyboard, Dragon will continue to learn from that correction process as well. So don't feel that you have to make any corrections or any command structure, strictly by your voice. Okay, so with that, I just wanted to go through just a last couple of slides, and I know many of you have started to submit your questions, which is great. So I will try to keep this short, and we will try to cover as many as possible. So I just wanted to recap and talk about the advantages of speech recognition, which really are some significant advantages for students and teachers today. So we always talk about use of Dragon increasing productivity. And it's really true that most people can speak over 120 words per minute, but the average keyboard user types less than 40 words per minute. By enabling users to create documents and emails typically 3 times faster than typing, Dragon can really boost productivity for all students and teachers and other educators. And it also helps special education students keep up with their non-disabled peers, even in a mainstream setting. It's up to 99% accurate right out the gate. So Dragon learns to recognize your voice with minimal training and delivers increasingly accurate recognition results the more you use it. Plus, it never makes a spelling mistake, as I've mentioned a few times, which is a real advantage for students, especially when it comes to learning disorders. Dragon can easily learn new terms, which can also be added individually or quickly imported from existing text. So one of the things we didn't point out is that when you first use Dragon, one of the things you can do is actually have it scan all of your documents that are on your hard drive and also your emails. What Dragon can then do is catalog terms and other words that don't currently exist in its vocabulary, and it'll prompt you asking whether you want to have these added to the vocabulary or not. You can skip that, or you obviously can also go back to the vocabulary and add individual words as needed. It's a proven tool for improving core reading and writing and reading skills. So speech recognition also appears to serve as a remedial function for improving core reading and writing abilities for all students. And research attribute these benefits to a heightened strategic engagement with print and language that users experience while dictating and correcting their errors. And we find that it's going to prepare students for the increased employment demands. It's really becoming an interface for their future. And as we've seen with the engagement of mobile applications that allow you to do more dictating, Siri on your iPhone and other speech-enabled devices, learning to use a product such as Dragon will better prepare students to take full advantage of this technology, whether it's in the classroom, whether it's at home, or whether it's in the workplace in the future. I want to quickly touch on some licensing that we have available for higher ed and K through 12 organizations. So the first is our academic lab pack. So this includes 5 licenses of Dragon Professional, which is what Tom demonstrated to you today, and also 5 of our USB headsets. The other option, now this is more specific for K through 12 organizations, but this is called our site license. And this allows you to purchase 250 licenses per school at a single physical location. This includes 20 headsets, and you can actually mix and match between Dragon Professional, which is for our PC platform, or Dragon Dictate, which is for the Mac. Okay, so with that, that ends the formal presentation piece, and just want to take a look through some of our questions here. I know there have been many that are coming in. Let me just do a quick scan of this. Here's an interesting one, and Tom, I want your input because I know we've changed our licensing agreement. So I'm a newbie to Dragon. Can the program be shared by different users? For example, the program on a class computer used by various students. And I believe the answer is yes, especially when it comes to the lab pack or the site license, because those licenses would be used on school-owned computers. I believe we do have the ability for you to have multiple profiles, which would be the individual user, and they can take that from lab to lab and have their profile either stored on a network if that is a possibility through your IT department, or they can have a USB thumb drive where they can have their profile. And Tom, can you just confirm with me that's correct in academic organizations as well, right?
100% correct.
Excellent, thank you. So the one thing I should mention is, and I touched upon it just briefly, is what we demonstrated for you here today is our Dragon Naturally Speaking product, which is specific to the PC platform. If you have a Mac platform, Dragon Dictate is the product that is available for use on that. We are not in a position at the moment where we have cross-platform applications, so you do need specific software for the PC and specific software for the Mac. Excuse me. Okay, does the Dragon software come with a strong tutorial component? So I wanted to come back to this because as you saw Tom demonstrate, we do have an interactive tutorial within version 12 of our product. That is something that is new to version 12, so if you have ever used previous editions of Dragon, you would not see this capability. The other thing we should note is that we do have a number of other resources when it comes to training and tutorials. First is we have a user workbook that is actually a free piece that is available on our website. I believe at this point it's over 200 pages and really takes you step by step and very in-depth into some of the capabilities that Dragon has. The other things I should point out when it comes to large groups, whether you're looking to have a large group of students or a large group of teachers or administrators really trained on the software properly, we do have a couple of other options. One is we have a very strong network of resellers across the U.S. and also Canada that can really come in-house to your school system and provide hands-on training. We do have information on our website as well with our partner list that can give you an idea. We have partners from Massachusetts across to California down to Canada and, of course, the breadth of Canada as well. So that's a really good resource. And then, of course, in-house we have some of our sales engineers who also do some cross-training, and we can offer it strictly through our field sales team as well. Okay, so let me come back to another thing here. Okay, just going through this. Okay, so can I load Dragon on both my PCs? One is a laptop, one is a desktop using one license. So if you are an individual and you're purchasing it for your own use, we do have a Dragon student teacher license. So if you're not, if your school system isn't going to be looking to purchase it for, widespread use, you can purchase the Dragon student teacher edition. This edition only allows you to load Dragon on one primary machine and one backup machine. So in this case, you could use it on both your laptop and your desktop without needing a second license. Excuse me. So there's a question here about languages. So can Dragon switch to an additional language, or must Dragon be purchased in the alternative language? So I will note that Dragon comes in a variety of languages. To date, we have obviously English, which we've demoed here today. We also have Spanish, French, Italian, Dutch, German, and Japanese. The caveat with these is these are not language packs. These are specific language editions of Dragon. With some of those editions, such as French, I believe German, and also Spanish, they do come with English. So in addition to Spanish, you can also have English. In addition to French, you would also have English. The thing to note is when you are working in these languages, essentially what you're doing is using two different profiles. One that you would be using to dictate in French, one that you would be dictating to use in English. You cannot dictate back and forth between the two languages within one profile. So that's probably what you were. You were asking, is whether you could, switch to a different language or work within the language. So just know that we do have other languages, but you would be speaking specifically in that language in one document, closing that profile, and then opening a different profile if you want to speak in English. Okay, sorry, I'm just going through additional questions here. So just as a reminder, so today's presentation is being recorded, fully the presentation integrated with the audio, and everyone who attended today will be receiving a link to that. You'll get actually a follow-up email that will have a direct link where you can access this, and that typically goes out within 24 to 48 hours. Okay, so this is an interesting question. Can I dictate to my iPhone or iPad using the Dragon Dictation app, then transfer it to my desktop Dragon? So the Dragon Dictation app really was only meant to capture a small amount of dictation. I think it's only, and Tom, you can correct me, I think it was only about 30 to 45 seconds worth of audio. What you can do is you could email that text to yourself, put it into a Word document or a text document, open that up with Dragon, and then make some edits or corrections from there. So that is a possibility. The other option is that we actually do have a recorder app that is available for the iPhone. Tom, I don't believe that's not yet on the iPad, correct?
I don't think so, no. But you can really use any recording application to record your speech, to record your dictation. And then once you have that recorded audio file, as you mentioned before, you can email it to yourself. And with the premium edition and higher of Dragon Naturally Speaking, you can actually transcribe audio into text with Dragon Naturally Speaking. We have many people using it in this way because we understand that you might not be in front of your full desktop where Dragon's running. You can use a mobile device, a digital recorder or an iPad to make those recordings and have them transcribed by Dragon.
Perfect, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we have another question about how sensitive is Dragon? In other words, in an open classroom or office environment, are there issues with speech overlapping? So the headsets that come bundled with the software are meant to be noise canceling, and they are a headset that we have thoroughly tested in QA to work specifically with Dragon. Now, I will say, in an extremely noisy environment, there might be issues with some background noise. But I can tell you right now that while I'm doing this webinar, I am actually in an open cube environment, and I am obviously I'm on a different headset, but I know Tom has certainly done demonstrations in an open cube environment, and as you can see, has not had any issues with that. Tom, would you mind if I actually just kick it back to you, because I know there are some things that you can do if you do change environments. Say you start out in a very quiet environment and you end up moving into a very noisy environment. You can actually change some audio settings within Dragon to help mitigate that. Tom, would you mind if I just kick it back to you, and if you
Not a problem.
mind showing that very quickly? And in the meantime, I'll continue to go through the questions here, ladies and gentlemen.
So someone had asked earlier about, just while I had this up, someone had asked earlier about comments in Word, because they grade papers and want to be able to add comments into a Word document. And I was testing this while Amy was working through answering questions, and yet to answer that question, yes, it will work with commenting within Word. But to touch upon what Amy was referring to about some audio settings, we do have our audio menu to go over different options as far as audio is concerned in Dragon Naturally Speaking, and one of them is checking the microphone. And this is a great utility to gather and perform a volume check to understand how loud or soft you may be speaking. That also is ideal, especially if you're going to be working in a noisy environment, so that it learns to block out that background noise too. Not only do you have the ability to have a noise-canceling microphone with Dragon Naturally Speaking, you also have Dragon learning how loud or soft you're speaking, so it understands your voice over top of background noise. It's actually a utility that takes about 30 seconds to roll through. It's a matter of reading the text that's on the screen. It'll tell you when it's finished, and it'll also understand the quality of your microphone too. Again, it's about a 30-second to 45-second process that really helps. And the other thing that we typically teach with Dragon Naturally Speaking is learning to turn the microphone on or off when you're not using it. So if you're not using the software, it's a good practice to make sure that you have the microphone off so that background noise isn't heard if it's loud enough. These are noise canceling microphones, but Dragon is also smart enough to understand your voice over top of background noise. So if the background noise is loud enough for Dragon to understand, as long as you're speaking, it won't be an issue at all. So we teach that microphone discipline through learning to turn your microphone off when you're not dictating, so it's not picking up background noise. And again, there's a couple different ways of turning the microphone on and off. There's by clicking on microphone icon in the Dragon bar. But through my demonstration today, I was actually using a hotkey, basically a keyboard shortcut to turn my microphone on and off. And that key is actually the F1 key for me. So every time I press the F1 key, it changes the microphone state. And it's easy to switch back and forth between those specific states. So I can make sure that background noise isn't captured because I'm not speaking at that time.
Excellent. Thank you, Tom.
Not a problem.
Okay, so there was a question here also about the pricing for the two licensing options that I provided. So I apologize, I forgot to cover that piece, so I'll go back to it. So the Academic Lab Pack is an SRP of $750. The K-12 site license is $2,500. So if anybody is interested, please reach out to us. You can reach us at dragonsales@nuance.com. You can also reach me directly if you prefer, and I can put you in touch with one of our salespeople. And actually, I will send this out through the chat as well. There's my email address. So it is my first name dot my last name @nuance.com, and that's AIMEE.KRET as in Tom H @nuance.com. So if you are interested in speaking with somebody, I can certainly put you in touch with someone. Okay, so I want to go back and just mention, because somebody did ask, what version could you suggest for an individual college teacher? So again, we also have a student teacher edition of Dragon. What this is it's only priced at $99. It's the premium edition of our software, which provides all of the functionality that you saw Tom demonstrate today. So there is no capability that you would be missing out of. The reason we are able to price that at $99 for students and teachers is because we ask you to actually verify that you are a student or a teacher. And in doing so, you're not able to actually activate the software until you do that. That verification is done through a third party, and you would see details in the software packet that you would receive. And all it is asking is you to provide, I believe, a valid email address that is for the university or school that you are a part of, and then some additional details, and I can walk you through step by step. Okay, somebody asked me to repeat the price for the academic lab pack. So again, the academic lab pack is priced at $750, and that is 5 licenses of Dragon Pro. And then the K-12 site license, so just note that this is specifically for K-12, so this is not available for higher ed, but that is priced at $2,500 and includes 250 licenses of Dragon. So there are a couple questions about whether you can buy directly from Nuance. So yes, we do have an inside sales and field sales team, so we can certainly put you in touch with somebody. Also know too that we do have a very large channel and reseller network as well. So if there's a specific partner that you regionally need to work with, most likely they are a part of our program. One of our sales personnel can certainly tell you whether they are part of our system, but no, from a channel perspective, we work with the largest companies, so a CDW, an SHI, Insight, et cetera. And then, on a reseller network, we have a variety of VARs that are regionally based that we work with. So is the student teacher pack on the website for purchase? Yes, it is. If you go to shop.nuance.com, the student teacher edition is available on the website for purchase. You can purchase it right there. Unfortunately, do know that the student teacher edition will only become available as boxed software. Because we have that third-party verification, we cannot offer it as a download as we do with some of our individual other softwares. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I'm just going through the questions again. I'm sure there are a number of things that I missed. Please know that if I did miss or did not able to get to your question live on the webinar today, I have a full listing of all the questions, and I can certainly have somebody speak with you directly. There are some questions that I am not sure of the answer, so I didn't want to give you wrong information, so I will certainly have somebody connect with you to give you the correct information. Okay, where do I purchase non-English language versions of Dragon Naturally Speaking? I believe I'll have to check on this. I thought in the past that we have had at least Spanish and French available on our shop page. If that is not correct, the person who submitted this question, I will have somebody get back to you on how you can actually do that. Okay, is there any discounts for colleges or universities? So yes, so just know that in addition to the academic lab pack and the K-12 site license, we also do have, in general, an academic an academic availability of Dragon Professional. Essentially what that is we have specific pricing that are available for academic institutions. For more information on that, I would need to put you in touch with a salesperson who can take you through what those price points are. Obviously, our licensing capabilities start at $5, and then there are certainly discounts, the more licenses that you have. Okay. Can a student use Dragon in a classroom setting to record a lecture? Okay, so this is interesting. So the one thing we probably, Tom, we didn't touch upon this is everybody should know that Dragon is what we call speaker-dependent software. That means that in order to use Dragon, you go through this profile creation so that Dragon can understand your voice and create a profile that is specific to you. I'm assuming that in this instance, what you're asking is whether a student could record a classroom lecture, probably take it home and have it transcribed. Unfortunately, that is you're not able to do that because the lecture would be in a third or a second person's voice that is not set up as a profile on, obviously, the student's use of Dragon. One of the things that they can do is if it's a very long, lecture and they do have, some disabilities that require them to really record those lectures, is they can go home and listen to that lecture, put on their headset of Dragon, and repeat what they're hearing on that recording and speak it back through Dragon in their voice. It's a term that unfortunately, we call it parroting. That's one of the options that is available if that is need. But just know that in normal function, you're not able to do that. Okay, since I babbled on that last question, I apologize. So again, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for your time. I hope that you enjoyed our presentation and our demonstration of Dragon, and you got to know a little bit more about what our speech recognition software is all about. If I did not get to your question, please know that I have a full listing of all the questions that came in today, and we will certainly have somebody follow up with you and answer everything for you. So with that, ladies and gentlemen, thank you again so much for your time, and that ends our presentation.